Hello chickens, welcome back to my floor. Again, sort of the only place with semi-good lighting in this flat, so we're back. Today I'll be doing a Q&A. I asked you guys to ask me some questions over on Instagram, so I'll be answering as many as the frequently asked questions as I can. There was a lot of questions that were like the same, a lot of shifting questions, which I'm just going to use this video to answer everything that everyone wants to know. I did already film this video and lost all the footage, and it was a 40-minute long video. So I'm going to try and probably do it a bit quicker this time. Maybe like not ramble so much. I mean, I was editing the last one and Jesus Christ, I ramble so much. I'm already doing it. So anyway, I'm just going to shut up and get straight into the questions. What jobs did you work? So my first ever job was when I was 14. I used to work, actually no, I used to babysit. That technically was my first job. And then my first like actual job was at a football club, and I used to do the cooking. So I used to be in the burger van cooking burgers. Like, I'd come home from work and I'd be able to brush the grease out of my hair. It was vile. So I did that for about a year and a bit, and then when I was 16 I got a job at Hollywood Bowl, and I was a party host, which I don't recommend. I hated it. It was the worst job, but also I was just pushing myself. I was doing my GCSEs at the time, so I was at school Monday through Friday and then at Hollywood Bowl Saturdays and Sundays, so I never had a day off for like a whole year and a half. So I wouldn't recommend. Maybe I would have enjoyed it more if it was like a 1 day a week thing. I don't know, but that's what I used to do. And then when it started my A-levels, I got a job at a primary school. So at this time actually, I also got my job at Starbucks. The job at the primary school was first, but then I later on got a job at Starbucks, and I was working both. So I feel like I've missed out a job. No, I haven't. So yeah, I was doing my A-levels, obviously at school Monday through Friday, and then I was working at the primary school Tuesday and Wednesday evenings. So what I did at the primary school was basically like the after school club. So for all of the parents that can't pick up their children straight away from school because of work, they go to this like after school club where we feed them, play with them, like just keep them entertained until their parents arrive. So I do that Tuesdays and Wednesdays after school until 6 p.m. So I'd finish school at like 3 and do that till 6. And then I'd work at Starbucks Friday evenings and Sundays. So during my A-levels, I had Saturdays off, which was basically just dedicated to revision because I was working all the other days. And then when I finished my A-levels when I was 18, I quit the primary school because basically the school that I was doing my A-levels at was like a 3-minute walk from this primary school. So I quit it because there was no point in me doing it anymore. And then left school and became full-time at Starbucks from when I was 18 up until I was like 19. I was full-time at Starbucks for like a year, but I'd been working there for like half a year prior. So but yeah, became full-time at Starbucks, became a supervisor at Starbucks, and then Starbucks started messing me about and kind of effing me over. So I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But during that time I was going to a cafe called Fred and Ginger. It's like a small independent coffee shop, like every day for a coffee, and became friends with the staff there, and they were like, we really want you to work for us, like you're a barista already, like just come and work for us. So I applied and didn't even have to do a trial shift. I just got the job instantly. So then I quit at Starbucks, and then I worked at Fred's from when I was 19 up until October last year. And then October last year I got a job with a company called Bite Dept, and they do social marketing for a lot of big brands like Just Eat, Spotify, Amazon, eBay, Smart. It's like the list is endless, and within my job currently I am part of the Amazon Prime team, and I am part of the TikTok content. So my job at the moment is, I can feel her hair, it's really tickling me. My job at the moment is to watch Amazon Prime films, series, and make social campaigns and make TikToks about said programs and TV shows to promote them, and then post them on the Prime account. So yeah, those are the jobs I've had. Very long-winded, but there we go. What's the biggest thing you've manifested? I love you. I love you too, and probably my flat. This is probably the most expensive and like goal completing. No, what word can I use? Like most accomplished. You know what I'm trying to say. This is like the most wow thing I've manifested. Definitely is my flat. How often do you try and shift in a week/month? Honestly, there is no dedicated time frame at all. It's just whenever I, one, feel like it, or two, have the energy. Now that I have more of like an adult life, I don't have as much time to shift as I used to, because when I used to live with my parents, everything was sort of done for me, and I wasn't really that tired all the time because life wasn't that hard. Life's a lot harder now that I'm an adult and I live by myself. Well, I live with Sid, but so honestly, it's not like I'll try. I used to have like a really good set routine back in the day. I used to like try on like certain days of the week and blah blah blah. I don't do that anymore. I genuinely just, when I feel like it, I will try and shift, and it's really not as often as it used to be. Like I really don't shift often at all, just because my actual current life is so busy. From where do you get your fashion inspo? I love your style. Thank you so much. I get a lot of my fashion inspiration from Pinterest. I literally just Google like goth street style or like emo alt edgy style, and I get a lot of my outfit ideas from there. But actual people wise, Goth Misa, I'll pop her Instagram and her TikTok here. She is like my person fashion inspo. Like she gives me ideas of like new like items of clothing to buy, outfit ideas. Like she is so gorgeous. I like have the biggest crush on her, and that's where I get most of my fashion inspo. And then because I actively am on, like, I like her Instagram and her TikTok posts, TikTok and Instagram will then obviously show me stuff related to that. So there's not other certain people that I follow, but like on my explore page and stuff, other things from following her will like pop up. So I highly recommend finding at least like one creator or influencer that you really like the style of, and just being super interactive with their posts, because then Instagram or TikTok will filter your explore/for you page to show up similar things. So yeah, that's where I get most of it from, but that's for like more my emo style. My skate style, I genuinely don't really get inspiration from anywhere. I've always dressed like this. Like it's never how I want to dress, it's just the comfiest to dress in. Like this is the outfit today. This is just what I wear when I literally, because the thing is with like the goth emo style, I have to do my makeup to go with it, otherwise it just doesn't look right. And sometimes like today, I just can't be bothered. So honestly, my inspiration for this, I don't know, it's just what I'm the comfiest in. But if you want to know what kind of style this is so you can like look up outfits, I think it can be classified as like skate style or street style, I'm not too sure. But Pinterest is always the way to go. Literally type in any keywords and it will give you a whole array of things. A lot of questions are, what is your favourite crystal? My favourite crystal is green aventurine. Have loved that crystal for the longest time. It helps and aids with like good luck and I'm pretty sure like fortune and stuff. It's the colour of it as well, it's gorgeous. It was the first, like before I got properly into crystals, it was the first crystal I ever bought. So I think that's why I have such a soft spot for it. And it's just always a staple. Harry Potter collection. I do have a YouTube video on it. So if you scroll down a couple of videos from this one, there is a whole video showing you all of my Harry Potter collection, so that would be probably easier to do than me going through it in this Q&A. How did you meet Sid? So he likes to go around and say that we met in a pub, which technically we did, because the first time we ever saw each other was in a pub, but we did actually meet on Tinder. I was going through a hoe phase at the time, and then me and Sid both met up with each other, not really looking for anything serious, and then so yeah, we were talking for a couple of days, and it was one of those things where like I would be at my friend's house and I'd be getting these Snapchats from all these people that I was talking to on Tinder, like that I've added on Snapchat. I've now made a red mark on my face. And like the phone would ping and me and Cara would be like, oh my God, I really hope it's a Maori. Because at the time, we only knew him as a Maori, because that's his actual name. We call him Sid now because that's what everyone in his life calls him. Everyone calls him Sid, but obviously I didn't know at the time. So we'd always like, fingers crossed that it was a Maori, and we'd look and it'd be someone else that's messaged me back and be like, oh fuck's sake. Like he was always like my most exciting. I was like, oh my God, I really, really like this guy. And then we decided that we'd finally meet up. And so we met at a pub halfway between both of our houses. Literally as soon as he saw me, he was like, wow, I like this one, which I always get him to retell me all the time because it makes me feel happy. But yeah, I looked at him and I was like, wow, he's even more attractive in person, which is hard because this boy's attractive. And anyway, so on our first date, we just went and got a drink. The conversation flowed so naturally. It felt like I was meeting up with a friend that I'd known for like 5 years. Like that's what I think was so surprising for me and Sid, is that there was never any awkwardness at all. Like not even from day one was there any awkwardness, and that's how I sort of knew that he was the person for me. So anyway, I have like a rule, like I would never ever go back to someone's house on the first date, ever. But I felt so comfortable around Sid, and he was like, do you wanna like come back to mine? Because at this point he was doing a house share, so he'd moved out of his family home, but he was like, he had like a room in like this house, and it was like, you know, like a house share. And I was like, do you know what? Yeah, I feel like, I know it's dangerous to do, but like I felt really safe around him, like I knew I could trust him. So anyway, we went back to his, and we didn't sleep together, we didn't do anything like that, we did nothing intimate. It was the most lovely evening. So I went back to his, we got into bed, literally just cuddled and watched Star Wars. And that's how I knew he was the one, because I was like, damn. And he showed me his gaming setup, and he was like, yeah, I've got a dual monitor, and like it's really embarrassing, it scares a lot of girls away. And I was like, green flag gamer. He was like, I've also got ADHD and it's really overwhelming for people. I was like, hun, no, I can deal with your ADHD because you are perfect. And from there on, it just blossomed. And 2 weeks later, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and now we live together. So yeah, I don't recommend going home with someone on the first day you meet them, but you sort of know if you can trust them or not. Like, it's not like he was like a 30-year-old man, he was 21. Like, I was like, I do trust you. And it worked out for the best. And yeah, I like thinking about it. It makes me happy. So I've got a couple of like school questions. I've got, were you popular in high school? What was your favourite subject in high school? And what did you study in school? Was I popular in school? At the beginning, yes. So in the UK, we have like secondary school, which is from year 7 to year 11. So I can't even remember ages. It's like you're 12 up until, 11 up until 16, 17. And then after that you do A-levels, which is, or you go to college, where that's 17 to like 19. I think I'm getting the ages right. So the beginning of secondary school, so when I was like 11 or 12, I was fairly popular and liked and was like part of like the popular group. But at that age, there wasn't like mean girls and nerds. Everyone was just so on the same level, but I knew everyone and I got along with everyone, which in some sense, I guess that means I was popular. And then it got to about like year 9, so at this point I was like 14, and that's when I started going emo, and my eating disorder really started, so I looked like a walking corpse, and that's when the bullying kicked in. I was hated. I also started YouTube at this age, and let me tell you, that is the best way. If you want to get bullied, start a YouTube channel in secondary school, because everyone rips the out of you. So from the age of 14 up until sixth form, no, I was not popular. I was bullied, like legit was told to myself. People would throw gum in my hair, they'd trip me up on the way like home from school. I used to get like really bad abusive like texts, like really badly cyberbullied, to the point where they'd like take pictures and videos of me and edit them to make it look like I was like doing like sexual things. Bear in mind I was 14. Oh, it was horrible. Like I literally wanted to not keep going on with life. And then it got to sixth form, and luckily all of like the people that bullied me went to college, and I stayed on at sixth form. So I still wasn't popular. No one really liked me. I still don't know why. It's because I was so different, and I'm not just saying like I'm different and quirky. I just genuinely didn't fit in with anybody I went to school with, which is why if I were to go back, I would definitely go to college, because I feel like I'd fit in with more people if I went to college, because college has more accepting people. And even if I got bullied at college, I think I would have been able to find a friend group that I properly fit in with. But no, I was not popular in high school. What was my favourite subject at school? It was definitely art. I absolutely loved art. I mean, I love drawing, so yeah, by far art. And what did I study? I can't even remember what I did for my GCSEs. For my GCSEs, I did like all the basic subjects, obviously, that you have to do, like maths, English, science, RE, blah, blah, blah. And then my optional ones were Spanish, art, food tech. What else did I do? Spanish, art, food tech, drama. That was it, I think. And then when I went to A-levels, I studied art, and I studied graphic design and physics. And I really enjoyed my A-levels. Like, obviously they were stressful, and I mean, no school life is going to be stress-free, but I really did enjoy my A-levels. My A-level art class was like my escape. I would look forward to art, and like there'd be, because you have a lot of free periods during A-levels, so on a Monday I'd have double art in the morning and then 4 free periods. That was the best day ever. So yeah, that's what I studied, and then yeah, and then I passed all my A-levels and I got into uni, and I just didn't want to go. I got accepted to 2 unis, I think, but I didn't want to go to uni at all. Also, that was the year that COVID happened, so our A-levels were like messed about massively, but I got an A star in graphics, a B in art, and a C in physics. So maybe I could do something with those A-levels one day, but for now they're useless. Waffles or pancakes? Honestly, depends on the day. I absolutely love them both. I prefer waffle texture, but I prefer like, I don't know, waffle texture for like the holes, but then like if you're giving me a fluffy pancake, the texture of that is also banging. So actually I can't answer that. I can't. Would you ever get Myrtle a sibling? I would absolutely love to. We were going to get this little black boy cat called Hunter, because my mum and dad recently, I don't know if you've seen the white kittens on my Instagram, they're my parents' cats, and it's their brother, because the dad was a black cat and the mummy was a white cat, so they had a mix of white and black cats, which is absolutely adorable. And we wanted to get the little black one, but we have such a small flat that I don't think we'd have enough room for like a second litter tray, because I'd want to keep the litter tray separate. Just because Myrtle's a female and he's a male, I don't know if they would wee in the same litter tray. And we were thinking about the cost of getting the jabs and then getting him sorted, like so he can't have babies. There was so much to think about and to pay for, and we just couldn't afford it. But in the future, we definitely want to get another cat. Do you have any tips on how to deal with OCD? Obviously, OCD is so broad and it's so different depending on the person. So I can't really give any specific tips because your OCD could be around routine or germs or death, like it could be around anything. But my one biggest tip for like routined OCD and like the whole tapping or having to touch things because someone's going to die, stuff like that, my biggest tip, which is what I always used to tell myself, is you're not magic. Nothing you can do can prevent or stop or make something happen to someone else. You tapping a chair 3 times, in your head it's doing something. In real life, that's not how it works. And although I used to tell myself this all the time, I still sometimes have to do my routines or tap or whatever. But that definitely helped me start to get the ball rolling with like getting better. Because as much as you convince yourself in your head that doing this is gonna stop someone dying or, I don't know, stop you from getting ill, it won't. Nothing that you do physically or mentally is going to prevent the world from going on, unfortunately. But also fortunately, because hopefully that sort of settles in your head so you don't feel the urge to do it that much. When you're sitting there and you're like, I need to tap something 3 times, otherwise someone's going to die. Sit there and realistically think about it. How will you tapping that thing 3 times actually save someone? It's all a superstitious thing in your head. You're not magic. I promise you, you will not make a difference whether you touch that light switch 3 times or you don't. That's the only tip I can sort of give as a general tip. But if you want me to do a video on like how I cope with my OCD, because it's really quite bad, I have many different types of OCD, so if you want a more in-depth video on that, I'd be more than happy to help. But yeah, that's like my biggest one. You're not magic. There's a lot of, do you still shift? Will you ever go back to shifting videos? How are you and Draco? Are you still into shifting? I do still shift, yes. Will I go back to posting shifting videos? No. I will happily post like here and there, like if there's a TikTok trend going around, which something in my DR has happened that would relate to that very well, then I will obviously tap in. Or like I'm about to do my Naruto shifting script, and that's something that I will happily share with you guys, because that's another thing, I don't really see many anime shifting scripts around, so I feel like just posting that video will be very helpful for people if they want to shift to anime, because I feel like the script layout is going to be quite different to like a normal like human script. So like I'll post like things like that here and there, or in my videos I'll give you guys little updates, but I won't ever go back to posting every single detail and story time of my DR, just because I feel like being so public with it, I put myself out there and it was definitely my fault, like I'm the one who chose to do it, but by sharing all of my personal happenings in my DR, I am then opening up for people to critique it, to tell me what I can and can't do in my own DR. Like posting it also comes with a lot of backlash, and also if it gets on the wrong side of TikTok, geez, do I get a lot of hate. And it was just a lot like that, which I just feel like it took the fun away from shifting. And like I used to get so excited when I'd come back from a shift to tell all of my followers and everyone what had happened, and I used to get so excited, and then I just sort of got slapped in the face. It was just sort of like because the comments would be like, oh no, you shouldn't have done that, or why is your Draco like this, and like it just took the fun out of sharing my story. So now I find it's more fun when I keep it private, because it doesn't ruin it for me, because there'd be things that I'd be really excited about which would then just get ruined because certain people wouldn't like the way I did it, and I'd let those comments affect me. Everyone's like, just ignore them. I'm so sensitive, I couldn't. So I'll never go back to fully posting shifting content, but I will probably just like post here and there. Would you ever have children? If so, how many? Also, you are literally gorgeous. Oh, thank you. I don't want children at the moment. I go through phases. I don't know. I don't think I could cope with children. I mean, I am only 21, so I don't think I'm in the right mindset to have children, because at this point in time, I'm not saying that I'd have children right now, but I'm saying my 21-year-old brain thinking about having a child at like, I don't know, 28, thinks it's not possible, because I think I can't deal with sick or anyone being ill. So if my child was ill, I'd rather myself than deal with it. Bit dramatic, but it's a joke. Also, once you have a child, that's it for life. Like, I'm a very, very sensitive, overstimulated, easily triggered human being. Because I'm just not the most mentally stable at this point in my life, I'm working on it, but because I can't see how mentally stable I'm going to be in the future, I can't really make a decision. So the thought of having a child and then that being my life scares the crap out of me. Also, I don't think I could do birth or pregnancy. I have a tummy ache every single day just from overthinking. Like, I barely eat any foods outside of my safe food group because I'm so scared of being sick. So if I have a human growing inside of me, I think I would vomit every single day, just by the thought of it, because it creeps me out that there's a human growing inside of me. Also, I still have an eating disorder and I have really, really bad body dysmorphia, so I don't think I could physically deal with the body changes of being pregnant or the aftermath of being pregnant at this current point in time. I'm not strong enough for it. But yeah, I do want a family. This is where the controversy kicks in, is like, I don't want it, but a part of me does want it. So I'm just gonna see what life does, see where it takes me. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not too sure yet. But if I were to have children, I'd want 2 or 3. Like, I wouldn't want an only child, because my mum is an only child and there's a lot of pressure on her to look after my nan since my granddad passed away, which obviously she doesn't mind at all. But what I'm saying is, I would much rather my children have each other, like have siblings to rely on. Because I know for a fact if I didn't have my sister, I'd be a lost cause, because she has kept me sane throughout growing up. Like, I absolutely adore my sister and I'd want my siblings to have that sibling love. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, 2 or 3 if I were to have them. Any embarrassing sex stories? Okay, I'm gonna have to make this quick because this video is already very long. I did have a very embarrassing sex story once. So there was a guy that I was seeing and we'd gone on like 3 or 4 dates. Now, I had no interest in this guy. Like, I just felt bad because he was so lovely and I didn't want to like be horrible. I told him from day one I was not looking for a boyfriend, I was not looking for a relationship, and so we were on the same page with that. I didn't break his heart or anything. We'd see each other a couple of times and there were so many red flags along the way, which I just kept ignoring because I was like, no, he's nice, I just need to stop being so picky. But I even remember talking to my best friend Cara about it. She was like, he's such an ick. And I'm like, yeah, I know. He gave me so many icks. He was 5'6", I'm 5'5", so we were basically the same height. He was a gym lad, which I don't mind, but he was like, I live and breathe gym. Like, every time we spoke, it'd be gym talk, or he'd be like, look how swole. Like, it wasn't a bit of me. His style, not that I ever judge anyone on their clothes, because everyone can dress how they want to dress, which is why I just sort of let it slide. But I do like someone with good style. That is just like my type. And he wore the exact same thing every time I saw him, which was skinny jeans with those, they weren't rips, they were like ruffles. I'm gonna put a picture here so you know what I'm talking about, because that's a major red flag. He used to just wear those with a hoodie that was a size too small for him. So it was just like, oh, I really don't have much to work with here. Anyway, when we used to kiss, it used to be really, really awkward. So like, he'd be kissing me. One, he was not a good kisser. It was very sloppy, very like that. It was like, there was no like smoothness to it. He just sort of like mouth to mouth. It was like, whoa. But when he'd pull away, he would just stare at me like this for like 3 seconds, which doesn't sound like a long time, but when someone's staring at you, those 3 seconds felt like a minute. So he'd pull away and do that like very often, and I used to, because he used to do it for so long, I used to be like, are you okay? No reply. It's like he didn't even hear me, and then he'd go back to kissing me. So that again used to creep me out, because I was like, is he a bit, I don't know. So anyway, the last time I saw him, I went to his house, and I've also got another funny story about this guy, which I'll tell you in a minute. We started like you know, doing the, so we were like kissing for like 45 minutes, and at this point I was like, right, it's been 45 minutes, so I just sort of like pulled away to sort of stop. He was like, no, I want to carry on, I was like, okay, fine, whatever, it's a bit boring, but sure. So he tried like doing other things with his hands and stuff. He was like, I'm really sorry, I'm not that experienced. I was like, no, it's fine, like I really don't care, like you do you, boo. When he said he was inexperienced, I didn't realise he meant virgin. And if I knew that from the get-go, I wouldn't have done anything with him, because I don't want like my fling hoe phase to be his first time. But I found that out at the end. Anyway, we'll get to that. So we're doing things, he's trying to touch me, he's very stiff and like doesn't really know where to put his hands, bless him. And then anyway, it gets to the point where we're about to, and he's like, can you touch me? So I do, and he's like, no, stop. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I was so confused, I was so overwhelmed. I was like, do you want me to or do you not want me to? It was the most overwhelming thing ever. So anyway, we finally get to the point where like, this is probably like an hour and a half in at this point. And he gets out a condom and he's like, yeah, I'm not too sure how to put these on. And that's when it sort of clocked. Either he's only ever had unprotected sex or he's a virgin. I was like, you don't know how to put it on. He was like, no, can you help? And I was like, yeah, sure. Me being the people pleaser, I was like, yeah, give it here. So I helped him and everything. He was like, am I in you yet? This boy was like 3 inches away from my waist. Like his groin was, I could probably put a ruler between his groin and my groin. And I was like, pardon? He was like, am I in yet? And I was like, no, you gotta come closer. He was like, oh, how about now? This boy's end of his wasn't even touching me. And then he was like, okay, well, can you help? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I just went to grab it. He's like, oh my gosh. I was like, what? He was like, I just finished. I was like, sorry, what? So we spent about 2 hours doing all of this. I literally just touched his thingy, and yeah, he came before he even got inside of me. And I was like, okay, that's fine, like I don't want him to be embarrassed. So then I started getting dressed, and he was like, why put your clothes back on? And I was like, because we're done. He was like, no, I want to try again. And at this point I felt really uncomfortable, because there was many things leading up to this that just sort of was a bit creepy. He was very obsessive with me, and very, like, the funny thing that I was going to tell you is I made him do the Harry Potter sorting hat quiz. Bear in mind, he's never seen Harry Potter, red flag. And I made him do the sorting hat quiz, and he got Hufflepuff. And as a joke, I was like, oh, you're a Hufflepuff. I'd never date a Hufflepuff. He was like, wait, what? He was like, no, I'll redo the test. Really, please don't not like me because I'm a Hufflepuff. And like nearly started crying, like freaking out. He was like, no, let me do it again. What house do you want me to be? And I was like, oh my god, I was joking. You could, like, I was literally joking like this. What? He was a bit, so anyway, I tried to go home, and he literally didn't let me go home. He was like hugging me tight. He was like, no, please don't leave. And I was like, so I stayed and I cuddled him for like a bit for like aftercare, because I didn't want him to think I was just effing and leaving, even though we didn't actually F. And then about an hour later, I was like, right, I'm gonna go now. And he was like, no, please, like, you've got to stay. Like, I want to see you again. I want to keep seeing you. And this is the point where I was like, right, I've got to get out, because I feel like he is a bit creepy now. And then I nicely ended it with him over text and never spoke to him again. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed this Q&A, guys. I really feel like I shouldn't post that, but I don't know. Juicy Q&A, tea, whatever. I hope my parents aren't watching this. Anyway, I love you all lots. I will see you in my Naruto shifting script video. And yeah, goodbye.